It's kind of cool to Facebook Live. All right, everybody. So I'm going to call this, if that's okay with you, Ellen, we're calling this Discovering Dive Bars with Ellen Goodwin. Right?
Perfect.
Who doesn't want to discover a dive bar? All right, especially one in San Diego. Have you ever come across, what was his name, Ron Burgundy in one of those bars?
We have always missed each other.
I would think that would be the place where one would discover one Ron Burgundy at this stage in life.
Well, I will tell you that there are two really great dive bars in San Diego where his alter ego has either autographed the ceiling or a refrigerator.
And I'm breaking the rule because this should be in the interview. So we're just gonna put the duct tape on, maybe go back to this in the interview. Okay, we got a couple people watching already right now. Now, this is a finger. I'm not going to give you Talk Universe or Facebook Live. We're not going to give you the finger, but we're going to encourage you to wiggle your index finger, because if you've enjoyed hunting, maybe you go on road trips, maybe you're a biker and you drive out to Sturgis or whatever it is that you do, and you like these dive bars, you want to share the message. This is just good for humanity. Be a humanitarian. Save the environment. Make the world a better place. And share this TEDx talk and this talk behind the talk.
Absolutely.
Ellen. Right, Ellen?
Absolutely. Yes.
This will save our oceans, and it'll bring our political fractured divide, and it will heal and suture up our wounds. It will heal the rifts all over the world. It'll be good. All right. I'm having a little bit of fun because
that's a lot for a little talk.
Well, I mean, it's the spirit in which your talk is given a little bit. We're having fun. I'm going to practice your bio here before I run out of burn through all my extra free time here. Ellen Goodwin is a sought-after speaker, trainer, and productivity expert who inspires digital entrepreneurs to cut the BS, turbocharge their results, and become the action hero of their business and life. She co-hosts the Faster, Easier, Better Show. I love it. Podcast. I'm subscribed as soon as I get off of my 16 more interviews today. The Faster, Easier, Better Show podcast, and is in San Diego feverishly working on her upcoming book. All right, I'm going to say that better. I am going to upgrade the font size on some of these things. EllenGoodwin.com, not an easy domain to get anymore. All right, and I think we're pretty much ready to rock. Any questions for me?
No. I mean, we've also got a divebarofthemonth.com. We have a website.
Okay.
So, we've got a couple. I mean, we've even got our little sign here.
Love it.
So,
love it.
No questions. I've listened to some stuff.
You're ready to go. I know you're ready to go. When somebody is Skyping in, preferably after the interview is done. Those are the best. But I had like 3 people last week, and they're like I'm in the middle of recording the interview, and the little Skype noise, and I'm like, I like it, but my audio guy is gonna have words with me if I don't like tell yo Nelly. It's like whoa, hey Tonto or whatever. Politically incorrect 50s television show references that are coming out of my mouth here. Oh, apologies, everybody. All right, we are we're good to go. And Talk Universe out there on Facebook Live. Again, reminder to share. Let's get this message of embracing your local dive bar and finding world peace, or depending on the menu, world peas.
Well, yeah.
In a dive bar and bringing the world together once again. All right. Are you ready to rock, Ellen?
I am absolutely. Let's roll.
All right. We are live in 3, 2. We are live with Ellen Goodwin. Ellen, are you ready to talk?
I am absolutely ready. Let's do it.
Ellen Goodwin is a sought-after speaker, trainer, and productivity expert who inspires digital entrepreneurs to cut the BS, turbocharge their results, and become the action hero of your business and your life. Ellen co-hosts the Faster, Easier, Better Show podcast, and she is in San Diego feverishly working on her upcoming book. Ellen Goodwin, welcome to the talk.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So your recent TEDx San Diego talk is called "How Dive Bars Can Change Your Life," and they can. You've got 10 amazing takeaway reasons, but my favorite takeaway is that, who was it? It was David Crosby of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. All I'm going to say is this, Talk Universe: he might not be a lookalike. Ellen,
That's
take
true.
us behind the talk.
Oh, okay. The talk, dive bars, how dive bars can change your life. I have to correct you because there was 10.5
You're right, 10.5 at the end.
10.5 ways that dive bars
it.
can change your life. And, we looked at all the different things, people you meet, how you behave, all the cool things that are on the walls, the things you're only going to find in dive bars. And it was just really fun to share that because I run a dive bar, the Month Club. So oddly enough, I know a lot about this stuff.
Oh, I love it. Well, hey, if you come out to Philadelphia, we'll go to a dive bar, otherwise known as a classic cheesesteak joint, if you're not a vegan or vegetarian. And I think the vibe is somewhat similar. I'm throwing in the local references here a little bit, but it's a local place, attracts local people. I love how patrons of the past are still living in the dive bar. And basically the dive part of the dive bar is when a bar opens up and everything's all new in the city and it's only 30 years old and, it's in the pub age of the colonial times. That's one thing. Or the founders of San Diego, the religious founders, that's one thing. But then time goes by, the decades add on, and a nice upscale bar becomes a dive. So that's the etymology behind the dive. And back to that piece, I love how the past lives on in people that still know your name in a dive bar.
Absolutely. Most really good dive bars have memorials to someone who is a regular and they've passed on. So you're going to find, bronze plaques. We've got bars here in San Diego that they have memorials. There's one where a guy used to play quarters. And so when he passed on, they have his shot glass sitting on the wall so people can still put quarters in there. We actually even have a bar where someone has some of their ashes in an urn that sits above the bar. So you can still, you can have a cocktail with the guy.
Yeah, everybody knows your name. I love it. So, you got to watch this because there are really, I'm going to round it up to 11 great reasons like this. There really are 11. And that's the way that it works. And there are 11 great reasons for all of this. And you're going to have to check that out. What I want to do is really kind of dive down. What causes someone to, is the upcoming book about dive bars as well? Or is that something else? Or what's going on?
The book that I'm feverishly working on is about productivity, but we never say the word productivity because everybody hates that word. Mm-hmm. But I am also in the back burner working on a book based on, and it's more of a small kind of gifty book based on the dive bar whole talk. I've given several talks about dive bars. I just did one last week. And so people want to know. So yeah, absolutely there'll be a book about dive bars coming out.
And Ellen, I think it's just brilliant, the psychology behind the framework of a dive bar, because if you're, I'm not going to use the P word for productivity, but if you're efficiency, that's not much better. That kind of raises the anxiety a little bit when you use the P word or the E word. And it's like, I'm not putting enough widgets together enough, or there was too many returns or defects or whatever. Right. When you're talking about a dive bar, it's like,
which is the opposite of anything.
Lower the wall. Everybody knows your name. It's the place around the corner. You're going to bump into Mo, or you're going to bump into, if it's San Diego, we were joking about Ron Burgundy's alter ego, who is famously from San Diego. Everybody can relate to that, relax a little bit. And in today's world, if you don't have enough emotional intelligence to be able to totally go 180 and act and relax and kind of put on that laid back persona so that you can go and drive performance or whatever that you were really brought in there to do, then people aren't going to let you in. They're not going to let you in, let the wall down. So did that factor into it, or was this just kind of an issue of the heart and you just kind of embraced it and it kind of works its way into the other work that you're doing?
I've always loved dive bars. years ago, I used to be a graphic designer, so it wasn't like I was like worried about everybody getting stuff done. But my neighbor and I both enjoyed dive bars. We would go like once a month, once every couple of weeks to a dive bar for breakfast. And we came up with the idea of, hey, let's put together a dive bar of the month club. And so there was no deep thought into it. It was just like, we like them. Our friends like them. This is an excuse for us to all go at least once a month somewhere we've never been. And that was 8 years ago. So we've evolved it over 8 years. Now we've got a Facebook page, a website, Evite group, and we're on Meetup, and we have over 4,000 members in our Meetup group. Obviously, they don't all make it to the meetings because it's where you're going to find a dive bar.
That would be a I don't know what that would be, a pancake bar or something like that.
Would be
if all
a
4,000
really
people.
Bar.
Yeah, that would be rough. And you are a bestower of monthly awards.
Well, each month everybody they don't get the award. They just get a picture of themselves with our sign, and that goes on our Facebook page. It goes on our website. They, get immortalized, not memorialized because they better still be alive. They get immortalized on, a couple of our sites. So, yeah. But
Brilliant.
we don't judge like who's better. They're all good in our eyes.
Yeah, well, I love the completely subjective and changing, morphing criteria. I would imagine that you might use to award a special recognition of that nature. True.
I mean, some bars are better in this way, some are better in this way. Sometimes we go where it might not be super divey. I gotta say the West Coast is probably harder to get good dive bar because the East Coast is really good.
It's a default dive by default.
Yeah, we just went to Key West, which is pretty much ground zero for dive bars, and we had the best time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's a taco place called B.O.'s in Key West, which I don't know that I think it serves beer, but with a name like that, it almost sounds like it was more of a taco stand. But I think the entire island of Key West may qualify as a conglomerate, 20 square miles of dive bar feeling. The spirit lives on, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In Margaritaville.
We had a great time. Yes. Exactly.
All right, hey, we've been having a little extra fun with Ellen Goodwin. Her TEDx talk was called "How Dive Bars Can Change Your Life," and they really can. We're going to be right back with Ellen, and we're going to pivot over to you. More importantly, Talk Universe coming up in just a moment for the Blitz Round. And we're back with Ellen Goodwin. It is time for the Blitz Round. I'm about to ask Ellen a series of either-or questions related to the preparation and performance of her recent branded talk. Ellen, are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Hey, first off, were you selected to speak or did you apply?
I was asked to speak.
Nice. And how does that happen with the topics such as dive bars? Because usually, I mean, it is not infrequent that I interview people on the 7-day-a-week podcast. Some of them, it's like how I cracked the DNA code and saved the world. They get invited to speak, but a dive bar, that usually, So how did this happen?
Well, I always say that, like people are talking about how to save the world and I'm talking about drinking. So, I gave an Ignite talk, which is 5 minutes with 20 slides, and I did it about dive bars. The head of San Diego TEDx was in the audience. He, saw it, and 30 days before the actual event, someone dropped out. He called me and asked me, could I make it longer and be there in 30 days? Of course.
Wow, make it longer. I love it. High praise. I feel like that meme with what's his name, the guy from Saturday Night Live and the Raising Arizona actor who's Nicolas Cage. High praise. Feel like if I had a high praise Nicolas Cage meme right now, I would show that to you. Next question: are you a memorizer, an improviser, or a blender?
I am a memorizer.
How does that serve you?
In something like this, I stayed on track, with 10.5 life lessons and 12 minutes. everything needed to be spot on, boom, 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 boom. Mm-hmm. So otherwise, when I speak normally, I memorize enough that I can improvise as needed.
Yeah, well, and Talk Universe, I'm going to just say this in defense of Ellen's talk. If you watch the talk, it's very easy to understand. The framework is just, I'm going to tell you this, boom, 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 boom. Yet it wasn't formulaic, even though it was basically a list, but it was so interesting that the way that you delivered it, the way that you delivered it, it didn't sound formulaic, which is just brilliant, because it's the most basic, the most basic list framework as they come. So it was all in the delivery. How did you pull that off?
I had an excellent coach. They worked with me, Fia, who was lovely. But just for me, whenever I speak, I need a framework. I can't just, and for me, like just doing a list, holy cow, because, there were different things. Nothing kind of flows together. We're going to talk about people. We're going to talk about memorials. So just having a list made it so much easier, and it made it easier. The audience knew like where they were in the talk. Oh, we're at 7. We've got 3.5 to go. Boom.
What's a tip, a technique, or a tool that helped you?
Oh, this is one of my favorite ones, because when I practice, let's say I practice in the living room, I just go around the room, and like the front door was number 1. And number 1 is, be kind to everyone. Number 2 was the couch. Number 3. So I just went around the room, and each one was attached to a number. So if I got stuck, all I had to do was think of myself in the living room and how it went around the room. And I use that with other talks.
What was the most unexpected, strange, or just plain weird thing that happened during or right before your talk?
Oh, when I went out, I accidentally hit the button and we went ahead a slide. So when I looked at the monitor,
surprise.
I'm like, yeah, and it wasn't a terrible thing, but it was just like, oh, that's not the slide I wanted.
Were you able to figure out what was going on in the moment without getting completely, sidetracked mentally?
Nobody knew. Nobody knew, because all it was is you just missed the picture of our logo. So if you watch it, you have no idea.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. What was what would you say the biggest challenge of this talk was for you?
That I had 30 days. Actually, I mean, that was good and bad, because I've talked to people that had like 5 months, and holy cow, I would not want that sitting on me for 5 months. So just the shortness, and then I memorized the whole thing when I would walk in the morning. So this is really interesting. Muscle memory is real, because I could do that talk like nobody's business while walking, and then when I went to practice in the living room and I stood still, I couldn't remember a thing because I wasn't moving. So that was like a big heads up.
We've been enjoying this very fun, extra fun conversation with Ellen Goodwin. Her talk is called How Dive Bars Can Change Your Life. And we want to let you know where you can go to actually check out that talk. You can type it in to Google, or you can also go to our website, BeTheTalk.com. In the show notes page, we will have a link for it. And we were going to have a link for you to connect with Ellen Goodwin at EllenGoodwin.com, where you can find divebarofthemonth.com. What is that other one?
We also have a website, divebarofthemonth.com.
Divebarofthemonth.com.
Yeah, the TED Talk's on there as well. So, yeah.
All right. Well, you can connect on the show notes page, and we'll be right back in just one moment with Ellen Goodwin for the final word of advice. And we're back with Ellen Goodwin. It is time for the final word of advice for Talk Universe.
I would say that strangers are just friends you haven't had a drink with yet.
Ellen Goodwin, thanks so much for coming on the talk today and sharing your wisdom with Talk Universe.
This has been a blast. Thank you so much for asking me.
That's a wrap. It's a fast 15 minutes. Now, look, remember, Talk Universe here, Facebook Live, share, spread.
Yes,
all right.
Yes.
Good deal. I had my, I think, 5 o'clock. I don't know if you could see anything, but my 5 o'clock or somewhere like 2 interviews removed, I think, was calling in
Oh,
in the middle. So I said, maybe I started something a little. That's a little too much because I can't splice you in. If you're watching this and you're coming up on deck, just hold on, okay? Because I can't do the Skype sandwich in the middle of Ellen's interview. That's not going to work.
no, I didn't even know. I couldn't even.
Okay, you couldn't see that on your end. I'm like, oh shoot! So I just hit the red button. I'm like, and then they call back, and it's like whack-a-mole. I'm trying to be an interviewer. I'm trying to be an interviewer, and it's like denied. LeBron James denied. It's like boom. It's like, well, that might not be a bad analogy because it's like LeBron was doing everything in that first game, but his buddy didn't know what time it was.
That's a pretty good analogy.
And he might be hanging out at a dive bar today, figuring out with his agent what to do when he's free. I personally, this has no relevance to anything, but I mean, Golden State is, sort of up the street a long, long way. For me, I hope he joins Golden State and they destroy the league as we know it. And they can build an orange orb in the sky with a giant laser beam that they can use to destroy opposing teams, and they could banish all the other teams down to the junior varsity again. And that
seems a bit extreme.
Well, I lived in Cleveland for 11 years.
Ah, gotcha.
When they make it this far, I get a little emotional. But anyway, all right. Hey, everybody, we're gonna take this offline before I say something else that could be even more controversial than talking basketball with the dive bar people. We're gonna sign off here.